Yeah. Roll with us. Turn it up, it's Alabama folk. Jack, Jeff, Trev in the booth. Yeah, you already know. From Tuscaloosa nights to the Saturday lights, breaking down the ties. Every wrong, every right. Got the insight, fire, and the Bama pride. When the Crimson's on the line, we alone for the ride. Bama voices on the call, we gon' break it all down. Roll with us. From the rumble in the trenches to the kings of the crown. Roll with us. Yeah, the tide runs deep and the show runs strong. Jack, Jeff, Trev, keep it rolling all season long. Every snap, every play, every headline drop. If it's Bama on the field, you know we never stop. Fast take, big stakes, tide talk all day. Alabama by CFB, we don't play. Christian spirit in the air, let the good times flow. Times flow. Roll with us. Only one place to be when you love.
Good evening, Crimson Tide Nation, and welcome to the 78th edition of Alabama Crimson Tide Live from yours truly, Jackson Johnson and Trevion Ware, as we go over the 3 do's and the 3 don'ts for the 2026 season for the Alabama Crimson Tide. Offensive line, former Alabama offensive line coach Chris Kapp going over to Auburn, our take on the draft combine, and who are the 5 most important non-starters from 2025 that are in the 2026 roster for the Alabama Crimson Tide. Let me tell you something, folks. You're going to be in for a wild ride and a good time for a long time, all right here on the 78th edition of Crimson Tide Live. And you know we're in for a good time for a long time with Godfather, the SEC, bringing that #1 foam finger. There we go. Let's go. How you doing tonight, good buddy?
I'm doing all right, man. Doing all right. First off, I want to appreciate our OG member, Godfather, always showing up for us, always providing us feedback and engagement. Definitely appreciate that. But very interested to see how this week goes, you know, with the NFL Combine set to commence on Thursday. And we're getting closer to spring ball and a lot of recruiting news, a lot of updates going on around Alabama football. Seems like they're one of the more busier schools. Even when things are not going on, there's always something to talk about. So I'm ready to talk about it and break it down with you, my guy, Jackson. Yeah.
Oh, man, we're going to be ready to rock and roll, that's for sure. And, of course, this episode of Alabama Crimson Tide Live is presented by FanDuel, where you can get top-notch predictions in the world of college football, college basketball, and much, much more. And let me tell you, you're going to be in for a wild ride, especially for what's going on in the world of college basketball. Oof, there we go. So Louisville, North Carolina playing. Yeah, of course, North Carolina's probably going to win that one. Northwestern Indiana, the odds are a little too low on Indiana, but oh well, to each their own. And let's see. Oof. I gotta say, like I am really looking at that Michigan Minnesota. Michigan's mad as heck about going down against Duke last week.
Yeah, but they got to understand, obviously, Duke having a lot of freshman phenoms on their team, having Carlos Boozer's son, Boozer, and just athletes of that nature. But it's definitely a lot to get into in the college basketball side of things. Alabama taking the night off this evening, but they'll be back in action soon this week as they continue to rumble down SEC play. But there's also other action just in different markets like the NBA, for example. The NBA is going to have a good it's only 3 games in the NBA tonight going on, but you can definitely tap on those games at FanDuel. They have what you need. I think if I was going to go with a parlay tonight, that San Antonio Spurs and Detroit Pistons game, that's going to make obviously seeing it's a 1-point spread, both teams being contenders in the Eastern and the Western Conference. And I think if I had to put a parlay together tonight for that, obviously you got to start with Victor Wembanyama, the 7-4 do-it-all center for the San Antonio Spurs. If I had to look at some props for him, I probably would start out with his rebounds, of course. Probably be safe putting him around 11 rebounds for the game. Then you got on the other side, you got Cade Cunningham, one of the up-and-coming guards in the NBA. If you want to look at props for him. I probably would put him on 20 points, 8 assists. Then, of course, you got Jalen Duren over there, the high-flying center for the Detroit Pistons as well. You can put him on 10 rebounds as well. I think him and Wembanyama are going to be crashing the glass tonight in that game as well. So that would be a good side bar. If you're looking to get some action, you can definitely tap in with our partners at FanDuel. They'll get you squared away with spread, over, under, player props, first basket bets, things of that nature. So, yeah, just tap in with our partners at FanDuel. They'll get you squared away and ready to play.
Yeah, for sure. Like, the Spurs and the Pistons, that looks like a pretty good toss-up right there. And they're right to say whether, the Pistons are a 1-point favorite or not. But, we're going to wait and see what happens in that one. I'm not too confident in the Grizzlies, but I'm confident the Rockets can get a win, but I don't think they'll beat the spread against the Jazz. But we'll definitely wait and see what happens. And we got Michigander coming in the chat, telling everybody to smash the like button. We appreciate the support from Michigander. Thank you so much. We appreciate tuning in. Thank you.
We definitely appreciate you, Michigander. No matter the differences in programs, Alabama and Michigan having their history and stuff like that, Michigander is always one that always shows us support. So we definitely appreciate that. Giving a big shout out to Michigander. Like you said, hit that comment button, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. It's definitely appreciated. It's how we keep the show going. It's how we get this news to you as quick as possible. But yeah, man, I'm ready to discuss, man. There's a lot going on with Alabama football this week. We can start in a lot of ways, but obviously a lot of people want to talk about spring ball as we near closer and closer to that. March is when it's going to kick off. There hasn't been an official release date yet for spring, but looking at the past 2 years, obviously Kalen DeBoer is one to have it around spring break. So we're looking at maybe a March 11th start date. But to get into the 3 do's and don'ts of Alabama, of what they want to do in 2026 to ensure success, I created a list with in one of my recent articles on Bama Hammer. If you want to check me out on Bama Hammer, you can go on my X at T1K. The links in the bio to all my stories. But started out with a list of 3 do's and don'ts for the 2020-26 season to ensure success. And coming in at number 1, I said Alabama has to fully lean into Alabama's offensive identity under Kalen DeBoer. Fully lean into Alabama's offensive identity under Kalen DeBoer. And I feel like they should have to do this because now in year 3, obviously Kalen DeBoer, he has full grasp of this program. He's brought in the coordinators that he wants to bring in. He's brought in the positional coaches that he wants to bring in. And now it's just time to, really trust. And I mean, that's obviously for the team to do. But with that being said, one of the quickest ways elite programs lose their edge by half committing to who they are. DeBoer's offense have always been their best when they've been decisive, when they've been rhythm-based and unapologetically aggressive in how they attack defenses. So with that being said, Alabama cannot afford to straddle the fence by mixing old habits with new philosophies. So with that being said, obviously a lot of people are wanting Alabama to run the football. That's one of the most important ingredients. And, you can't run the football without getting pushed up front from that offensive line. We saw that all throughout the 2020-25 season. So with that being said, Alabama has to commit to getting things right up front. I think they've done that this offseason with the direction that they've went in terms of personnel, adding 6 new offensive linemen and bringing in Coach Adrian Clem, Alabama's new offensive line coach. And so with that being said, we've seen how Alabama has been effective in the past. And running the football, that's a non-negotiable. They have to run the football. So, and leaning into that, Kalen DeBoer showed in his most successful year as a coach at Washington, he balanced that high passing attack with a good running game. We saw that with former Washington running back Dylan Johnson. He had over 1,000 yards. He was one of the best running backs in the Pac-12 that year. And, to keep defenses honest, you got to run the football. I mean, the passing game is going to take care of itself. but you have to run the football. So I think that's really a big part of leaning into Kellen DeBoer's identity. And like I said, he's gotten the type of athletes he wants at those certain positions up front to help them do so. So I think that can be a big part into doing so. So they have to do that, number one. Number two, weaponizing the versatility around the roster. That means both sides of the football. I've recently discussed just the versatility they have on the defensive end with in the depth that they have on the defensive end. You talk about players not who are not in the starting lineup, but can help them weaponize that versatility. Starting out with obviously we talked about Carmelo O'Neal last week with the versatility that he has at 6'4", 225 pounds. He can play in the box. He can play he can play in the box as an extra defender. He can play at the cornerback position. He can come up and help you make tackles. He's one that can help bring an edge on special teams as well. And also talking about that, you got many multifaceted offensive linemen, defensive linemen as well. Obviously, you want to get push up front on the defensive line. You got to use that versatility and use it to your advantage. Obviously, Alabama's going to be a young football team, but you want to spread around that versatility, and by doing so, you can get that through other various defensive backs like a Zay Mincy, defensive backs like a Dijon Lee, who can play cornerback but can also help in run support. You want to do that as well, and then just at the linebacker position as well. You want to use that versatility with some younger players like an Xavier Griffin, for example. We talked about him a couple weeks ago, how he can help in different packages in different ways and stuff like that. And then just on the offensive side of the ball as well, you got various receivers that have different traits, different skill sets that they can help out in the passing game, in the run game, as blockers and stuff like that. So really, you can't just have you can't just be one-dimensional. And when I say that, I mean you got to have different pieces working together at the same goal, at the same structure. So doing so, I think that's a way that can help them gain back some of the edge that they lost by just weaponizing some of that versatility. And number three, dominating situational football. Obviously, Alabama, it seems like they showed up for the big games last year, but in some games they played down to the competition. One game that sticks out particular to me is when they went on the road versus South Carolina. South Carolina was already out of the picture last year, and you see how hard it was for them to squeak out that game and stuff like that. So they have to dominate in certain situations. I mean, like I said, they show up for the big games for the most part outside of the Rose Bowl and the SEC title game. But dominating situational football, that's just really about that's really about that's really about in the third and medium, for example.
Yeah.
Being in third and medium and the red zone efficiency. Obviously, red zone, yes, it's situational depending on what team you play, but you got to have good red zone efficiency. That means getting points whenever you can get them. Obviously, that goes hand in hand with how efficient your offense is, how efficient your kick game is, and stuff like that. But they can't afford to miss on any of those areas. So obviously, when you got a chance to put a team away, you got to put them away. Obviously, when you got a chance to score points, you need to score points. And also sudden change of possession. They can't let a lot of these momentum swings that they had last year, being up and down and stuff like that, dictate the game. They have to stay even keel because those snaps always decide championships. Those snaps almost decide championships over raw talent. Alabama has a lot of talent, but the discipline. So, you want to be dominant in those type of areas so that you'll be able to close out games and tilt things your way without forcing heroics. You don't want to play hero ball, obviously, with a new quarterback on the center. Whether that's Austin Mack or Keelan Russell, you want to make things comfortable for them around them. You don't want to stress out the defense. I felt like last year Alabama put a lot on the back of the defense's shoulders. Especially in the second half of games, not being able to score, especially in the third quarter. That was something that rubbed me the wrong way last year, and I continue to find it out week after week. Not being able to score in the third quarter and keeping teams around longer than they were supposed to be around. So that's what dominating situational football means. You want to dominate at all costs. I mean, obviously you can't dominate every opponent, but when you got the opportunity and you are obviously more talented than the other team, you don't play down to their competition level. And on some Saturdays, Alabama did so. So that's my number 3 thing on the dudes side: dominate situational football. And now we're getting to the don'ts, things that Alabama should avoid. Number 1, don't let standards drip during close wins. It's simple. Never accept anything that you would in the win that you wouldn't in the loss. This is law. This should be law for Kellen DeBoer in Alabama football this fall, because often in close games, uh, when you win them, a lot of people forget about what went wrong in that game and they celebrate just to win. But that can be also a toxin to your football team, because when you lose, because when you win those games and you forget about what went wrong in that game, that could be an Achilles heel for the rest of potentially the season. So obviously you don't want any execution lapses. You don't want to let penalties pile up. You don't want to get sloppy with your fundamentals. And even when the scoreboard favors you, you don't want to be complacent. I feel like this Alabama football team was complacent in a lot of areas last year, and that kind of came back to bite them at the end of the season. Obviously, they were able to get out of Oklahoma with the win in the college football playoffs, but we saw the very next week they fell back into that same 17-0 hole versus Indiana, and they weren't able to dig out of it. And just like we saw in the SEC title game, just the turnovers and stuff like that. So you don't, and they were winning games. Even I remember it was a stretch with for example, Ty Simpson. He turned the ball over probably about 5 straight games via fumble, and they were still able to win those games. But a lot of people weren't really noting that, and it ended in not blaming Ty Simpson by any stretch of the imagination. But it's things like that they were overlooking, and when they overlooked it, it ended up piling up on them at the worst time. And we saw that around postseason time, and that's something that they can ill afford to let happen, especially this being a younger team, and you being the breadth of a lot of proven starters and stuff like that. So that's something that Kellen DeBoer is going to have to drill into the head of this football team. Not letting things like that, even when you have success, because that was something that Nick Saban did. Even when Alabama was up 25 points with 2 minutes left in the fourth quarter of games, he still would coach to the final whistle. He still would call players out when they were not playing sharply, even if it's the second unit, the third unit, the fourth unit, the walk-on guy, the starter. It didn't matter. Nick Saban held every player to that same standard, and that's the standard of excellence. And Alabama has to get back to that. So Kellen DeBoer is definitely gonna have to do that from a coaching standpoint. I have all the confidence that he can do that, but we saw last year when that didn't happen. When and this is a favorite saying that a lot of Alabama fans like to say. A lot of people who call the games like to say, especially when Alabama plays a team close and they're able to eke out a win. They're like, let's get out of here. But no, even when you escape that fire, you still got to focus on why were you even in that situation. So that's exactly. So that's something that Alabama is going to have to do. Like I said, never accept anything in the win that you wouldn't in the loss. I mean, that's one of my favorite sayings now. And I apply that to real life. Even when I have success, you cannot accept your blunders. You have to address that. You got to be real with yourself. Even if you were able to, get the promotion, for example, in real life and stuff like that, or you were able to overcome something. you still got to hold yourself accountable in any possible way because that's only going to help you get better in the end, and that's going to help you eliminate some of those deficiencies. And the same goes for Alabama football in 2026. So they don't want to ignore stuff like that. And obviously, number two, don't chase style points at
No.
the expense of control. Um, obviously, when you have the game in control, you want to keep control, but you want to find other ways to dominate. You don't want to you don't want to just be doing anything out there because obviously explosive plays can be intoxicating, but wins control championships and pressing for highlights, force D shots, and unnecessary tempo strikes and risky plays, which often hand back the momentum to the opponent. You don't want to do that. The best teams dictate pace, protect possessions, and squeeze games until the other team taps out. This is why flash for Alabama shouldn't be a product of dominance, not the all end all be all. So basically, what I'm saying there is, is out. Obviously, if you got a big lead, you want to keep that big lead, but you want to play within the structure of that game. It's no point to get to doing something crazy. We saw last year a little bit. Obviously, this coaching staff is one of the more. It's one of the coaching staffs that likes to gamble sometimes. Like for example, we saw Ryan Grubb go for 4th and 1 a lot of the times. I remember we saw Ryan Grubb go for 4th. I think it was 3rd. I forget what particular down it was, but I remember they were playing Indiana on New Year's Day, and they forced the I think they went for it on 4th down or something when they could have took the points. And
Exactly.
the points, and that snowballed into how Indiana was able to further take momentum of that game. So, whenever you can score points, whatever fashion it is, you take the points. Sometimes, yes, you got to drop your nuts and be risky and stuff like that. But other times, you got to play conservative sometimes. But conservative, when people hear play conservative, they always think it's like you're playing scary. No, you're playing smart. So, with that being said, they want to do their best to play play smart, efficient football. And like I said,
Exactly.
sometimes if the look is there, always go for it. But at the same time, don't force nothing because there are limitations on this roster. So with that being said, you kind of just got to take what's in front of you at sometimes because at the end you'll probably thank yourself later instead of scratching your head. You'll be like, dang, why I didn't take that field goal? Why we didn't take that field goal? Why did we have to force that particular 3rd down and stuff like that? And that happened a lot of times in Alabama's football season last year. So they definitely don't want to do that. And number 3, don't ignore in-game suggestions. There's a famous saying by multi-world champion winning boxer Mike Tyson. Everybody got a plan until they get punched in the mouth. And I feel like that's in real life. Everybody things can be going your way, but when you get punched in the mouth by life, it's about how you respond. And it's the same way in football. So for the born this young Alabama squad, many are wondering how they will react if things go south early in games in 2026. Games are a living organism, and they're not just scripts. So when tendencies are exposed or matchups flips or stubbornness becomes a liability, failure to counter punches like blitzes, protections, and weak edges, or just adjust to coverage leads to invited chaos. So with that being said, championship staffs win second half of games, and we saw last year Alabama kind of struggled with adjusting to how the other team adjusted, and they were one-dimensional in a lot of ways. They were still able to eke out 11 wins, but still the same. They were still one-sided in a lot of games with due to not being able to adjust. So having a young football team, you're gonna have to adjust, especially in those road games. So Alabama is definitely gonna have to fixate themselves on having more than one game plan, being able to adjust, having different styles, because styles make fights. So, if one style don't work, you got to be able to hop onto another style and try something else. So with that being said, I definitely think that if they are able to do so, they can be successful. They can, dig themselves out of small holes. They won't be pigeonholed playing. It's like playing basketball with one hand behind your back. If you don't have a right, if you don't got a left, you're kind of screwed. So, and we saw that happen with Alabama on several Saturdays last season. So, with that being said, just going over the list again to wrap up this segment. Going over the list again, number one, obviously Alabama needs to fully lean into Kalen DeBoer's offensive identity. That's going to be important. Number two, weaponizing the versatility across the roster. That also helps with injuries. That also helps you find what player does best in what particular role. That's going to be important. Number three, dominating situational football. If anybody watched Nick Saban in the Nick Saban era, that was something that he was real fixated on. So, and we saw the success he had with the teams that he had being able to dominate situational football, whether the score was 20-10, whether the score was 56-0, whether the score was 19-20. He always kept the same energy. So that's something that Alabama wants to do. Three things they should avoid. Like I said, don't let the standards drip during close wins. Like I said, never accept anything that you would in the win that you wouldn't in the loss. Number two, don't chase style points at the expense of control, because chasing style points, it works on most Saturdays, but when you get to teams that are that just need any speck of daylight to beat you, that's why you just got to dominate when you can, and put your foot on their neck when you can. And lastly, don't ignore in-game adjustments. I think that's probably the most important thing on this list, because at the end of the day, things not gonna go your way. The first 15 plays on the game script, they only work for so long. Then you got to make adjustments. Then you got to make different personnel changes. So with those three do's and don'ts, if Alabama is able to really just facilitate those into the minds of the 2026 Alabama football team, that can definitely be successful. That can, and those three things can also help them win. So with that being said, in Michigan, it also has a message. He said Nick Saban was also fixated on small details, no dumb penalties, footworks, and having hand placements, no mental mistakes. And yeah, that definitely goes with that definitely goes with not letting standards drip during close wins. Like Michigander said, even if you up 30 points, you still need to be coaching the same way. The second group still need to have the same energy as the first group, and so on. So with that being said, I feel like if Alabama is able to fixate themselves on those two different sides of the do's and don'ts, and work that into the minds of this Alabama 2026 football team, they can definitely be successful. I mean, obviously you got to go on the field and do it, but doing those things and doing them at a high level, you will be okay. You'll find yourself on the winning end more than the losing end more times than not. So those are my six cardinal rules for Alabama in 2026.
Yeah, because honestly, Alabama cannot just be playing down to their opponents, where it's South Carolina, was close but no cigar for the Gamecocks. And I'll be honest, I know a lot of people are always thinking about Alabama, Georgia for week 6 for 2026, but I'm thinking about what Alabama, South Carolina is going to look like this time when we get to the 2026 season. And it's got me a little nervous, because it's going to be, are we going to be seeing Lady Luck bail out Alabama like it did in 2024 and 2025?
Nah, man, Alabama cannot depend on that again. I mean,
no.
Those type of situations because like I said, I brought up the South Carolina game because that's a game that these past 2 years they needed all 4 quarters and some overtime to beat that type of team. And with them being at home again, of course they protect home field pretty well, but you cannot bank on the same thing 3 years in a row. So yes, South Carolina should be better this year. They're returning Lenore Sellers again. They obviously got Dylan Sweat. They obviously still got Shane Beamer and some talent around that. But you don't want to find yourself in a dogfight with just teams you are flat out better than, because the more a team hangs around, the more confidence they get, the more you are on upset alert. And Alabama cannot afford to have that, especially with a young team, because especially with a young team that hasn't been in that particular situation, because if that continues to happen, experience is going to take over at some point. And the team being so young, I mean, you got a lot of experience on defense, but just having 7 seniors and stuff like that, you got a lot of people that play football who are not seniors but still the same. You know what I mean? Experience of other ball clubs are gonna catch up, so you don't want to find yourself in that predicament. And also that also plays in the games like Kentucky in week 2, which could potentially. I mean, I'm not saying it's a trap game right now, but it could be a trap game. The first mental test for the young football team going on the road, playing in a place like Kentucky, who don't have a lot of expectations. And you see a lot of games like that early in the season that end up being upsets. And we just saw that last year, for example, with Alabama going into Tallahassee and Florida State, and, playing down to the level. Florida State, they were amped up, yes, and we saw that because they ended up not having being able to keep that same energy throughout the season, but still the same. It's games like that you want to, you're better than the team. You got more speed. You got more power than the team. You want to take care of that. So with that being said, Alabama's going to have to do that in all 12 games. It's going to be interesting to see. It's kind of hard for a team to do that in all 12 games, but it's been done. We just saw with a team like an Indiana. We just saw with even Georgia. They display that year in and year out. So Alabama's going to have to do that.
Agreed. I mean, they're going to have to. Don't play down to your opponents, and don't act like you've got it won, especially with a minute left in the game. Just act like it's basically you're trailing by double digits.
Yeah, scoreboard don't matter. It's 0-0 till the clock is 0-0. You got to keep that same intensity, keep that same energy. So yeah,
that's what you got to do. And I'll tell you a little something that can definitely help you right there is like, a lot of us are shopping on Amazon, and what you want to do is shop on Amazon. And this is the next time you're shopping on Amazon, like before you did it before the end of the week, or you're doing it sometime today or sometime tomorrow. What you want to do is shop on Amazon using the link to support the Voice of College Football. You don't need to buy the product display. Doesn't cost you a penny, and you get the same shopping experience by clicking on the link down below. Got it all right there. Man, it's going to be a wild ride all right there as we get closer to kickoff. But, we've got the 5 most important non-starters from 2025 heading into 2026 for the Crimson Tide. And you discussed this as well, Travion, where you said like number 1 was Jeremiah Beaman, and unfortunately, we didn't see him a whole lot in 2025 because he was hurt. And we've got a clip that we're going to show you right now. So we saw him, watching his teammates for week 2. So he was just kind of watching his teammates.
Yeah. So the reason I said Jeremiah Beaman is probably one of the most important players on this roster from last season. He was before. Obviously, now Alabama doesn't have Tim Keenan. That was their traditional nose tackle, one of the leaders in that locker room. Definitely the most consistent run stopper that they had last year. But Jeremiah Beaman, he's a player that when healthy, he can definitely help this Alabama defense be better. We saw last year before he got hurt, he started out starting the season in place for Tim Keenan, and he was able to have some impact. His season was cut short because he had a in practice injury that ended his season in week 2. But from last year, he was having a good camp and stuff like that. But like I said, he just had the season cut short. So you look at a player like that. Uh, a lot of I remember last year seeing Kane Warmack just excited about what he could get out of him and stuff like that, and it was just unfortunate to see him go down. So seeing him now having a year being in those meetings, being able to have that motivation factor of getting able to come back from your injury and stuff like that. He's like another. He's like a transfer portal ad. I mean, yes, he was already on the roster last year, but you didn't get a lot of use out of him. So now he's like a fresh player, a fresh body that you can bring in. And obviously, Alabama is. We saw last year how important it was to have a push up front in the trenches. So I definitely think that at 6'5", 300 plus pounds, Jeremiah Beaman can definitely be one of those players that helps them helps take their defense to another level, because the defense was already playing decent last year. But having a player like Jeremiah Beaman to pair alongside a player like a Terrence Green, who they got from Oregon, putting him alongside Devin Tompkins, who they got from USC, putting him alongside Yanze Pierre, who's going to be on the outside rushing, and putting him alongside some of young players like a London Simmons, Isaiah Fogwa, and stuff like that. That's only going to help you get to the quarterback. That's only going to help you create havoc in the backfield, collapse the pocket, and stuff like that. And he was on pace to do so last year, but he had an injury. And this is a former four-star athlete who is definitely somebody that can when healthy, that can help this Alabama defense. So he's one of the underrated players. I feel like a lot of people forgot about him, so I felt the need to highlight him number one. So he's my number one player that can that wasn't a full-time starter last year, that can definitely help them in 2026. My next player is Rico Scott. Rico Scott, he seems to be the forgotten man on this Alabama receiving core, but everybody knows what Rico Scott can do when he gets the ball in his hands. Rico Scott, he provides a different dynamic in terms of speed in the slot, he's one of being about 5'11", 6 foot. He can stop and go on the dime. Last year, he kind of just got lost in the shuffle of receivers with Isaiah Horton and Jeremy Bernard and Latsir Brooks and Ryan Williams and stuff like that. But during his 2 years at Alabama, he's caught about 16 passes for. He almost entered the transfer portal this year. In fact, he did enter the transfer portal, but Alabama was able to talk him to coming back into the program. So, I'm thinking he's going to be a player that's going to get a bigger piece of the pie. He's definitely a player that can he's more of one of the natural slot players, him and Latsir Brooks. I feel like last year they kind of forced Ryan Williams into the slot last year, and that created some uncomfortability for Ryan Williams. But Rico Scott, he's a player that can play in the slot. He's a player that can help you win matchups from a speed standpoint. He's a player that is steady with his hands when he's involved in the game plan. And like I said, he was a player that Alabama leaned on late in the 2024 season. He showed up versus Michigan in the Rose Bowl game. I mean, not the Rose Bowl game, in the Reliant Quest Bowl game, and he had a touchdown. He continued that by having a touchdown in the first game versus Florida State, but Alabama just seemed to win away from him. So I just think this year, him coming into his third year, being his third year in the program, having that comfortability, he can definitely help either quarterback, whether it's Keelan Russell or Austin Mack. He can help them from a standpoint of getting open, knowing where sticks are, veteran receiver, somebody that similar to Latsir Brooks that you can depend on and stuff like that. So I'm definitely excited about Rico Scott as he comes to his third year. I think it's going to be think he's going to turn a lot of heads this year as well. And he can provide a major role on special teams as well. As a punt returner, as a kick returner, he has that type of speed and dynamic. And my third player I brought up on this list as well is Xavier Mincy, talking about a 6'2", 185-pound safety who can play cornerback, who can play nickelback. He's a player that's kind of been in Alabama's defensive secondary for the last 2 years. Somebody that when numbers been called, he's been able to step up over the last 2 years. In Zay Mincy's first year in 2024, he had 16 tackles with 2 pass deflections through 13 games as a true freshman. Then he added 18 more stops along with 0.5 tackles for loss and 1 deflection and 2 quarterback hurries last fall. Now looking at him, I definitely think he can be a viable contributor just with his length, just with the different roles that you can put him in. The way he's able to high point the football, the way he's able to come down as a extra tackler and run support. So I'm definitely thinking that Zay Mincy, with his tools and physical instincts and his experience, he's played over 30 games now. Like I said, played 13 games as a true freshman. Appeared in 14 games last year. So that's about 27 games of experience. I'm definitely thinking with that experience, length, and the physical tools that he has, that he can definitely help this Alabama defense in many facets and forms. And I'm definitely excited to see what the Florida native can do in his third season. Being in his third season in Kane Warmack's defense, the comfortability that they have with him now, I definitely think that he's going to be a player that's going to be in the 2 deep. Him and Red Morgan can definitely cause havoc in at that Husky position and help younger players like a Jordan Edmonds, who is Alabama's 2026 5-star defensive back. Not that he needs any help, but just help. Just being a guy that's in front of him, showing him how to play the right way and stuff like that. And now going to our fourth player in this category is A.K. Deer. Everybody likes to talk about how Alabama has talent in the backfield, but they weren't able to materialize on that talent last year. And I feel like one of those players is definitely A.K. Deer. It just seems like you just played the highlight and he just zoomed to the end zone. A.K. Deer, he provides a different gear for this Alabama offense. The Mississippi native showed that last year on 19 carries for 140 yards and a touchdown. He's 6'1", 212 pounds. Last year, I just feel like he just couldn't get on the field, just going through that freshman growing pain of learning the playbook, knowing how to pick up pass protections, being in the right spots at the right time. And Alabama kind of leaned on him later on in the year. So I definitely think that A.K. Deer is a player that with his speed and with his ability to be a one-cut back, he can definitely bring a different dynamic to the Alabama rushing game. Yes, they still have a lot of talented backs as well, like E.J. Correll, the 2020-26 running back who was the number one running back in the nation. Obviously, you look at Daniel Hill, you look at Kevin Riley, you look at some of the other running backs that they brought in, but I feel like A.K. Deer, he just brings that juice, man. And he was one of the he was one of the top signees in the class of 2025. So I definitely think that he's a player that can come into his own in 2026 and make some noise. So I'm definitely excited to see what A.K. Deer can amount to in 2026. Having a full summer in Ryan Grubb's system, knowing the playbook like the front and back of his hand, and because I feel like just last year when he played, I mean, yes, he was able to explode, against lesser competition, but the reason why Alabama couldn't play him enough because it was just a learning curve. He had to get past that learning curve, and with the speed that he has, if he can just play football with knowing what he's doing and not having to think, he can definitely be one of those surprising players in 2026. And now getting to our fifth one, this was my favorite one. This was my favorite one to discuss. It's the quarterback position. Obviously, Austin Mack or Keelan Russell. One of those players are going to have to break out. Looking at Austin Mack, him going into his 4th year in Kalen DeBoer's system, being 6'5", 235 pounds, I feel like if he was at another program, he would have already been named the starting quarterback. But you see plays like that, that just goes to my point. I feel like if he can break out, he can give Alabama a different mold at quarterback that they haven't had, because he's one of the bigger quarterbacks that Alabama has had in the past couple of years. So, and we saw that last year. In the spare times that he was able to play, he appeared in 4 games. He completed 24 or 32 passes for 228 yards, 2 touchdowns, and with a 75 completion rate. And him being, like I said, being in the 4th year of Kalen DeBoer's offensive system, because he started out at Washington, as everybody knows, and he followed Kalen DeBoer to Tuscaloosa. So him being in the system for year 4, it could easily just click for him. And I mean, Alabama fans a lot of people want that to happen. I want it to happen too, but I mean, it just got to click for him. So it'll just be interesting to see what he can do. And obviously now we're going to Keelan Russell as well, and what he can do for the Alabama Crimson Tide defense, man. I mean, for the Crimson Tide offense, man. If he can, really just get a grasp. I mean, because like he has all the talent in the world. I mean, if anybody's seen him throw the football, looking at these highlights, the ball just flies out of his hands. He's one of those players that's pinpoint accurate, but similar to Deere, just getting over that freshman learning curve. Because like Deere, the talent is there for Keelan Russell, and Keelan Russell last year in the games that he did participate in, he completed 11 of his 15 passes, which accumulated to a 197.4 passer rating, and he was able to throw 3 touchdowns. So if Keelan Russell can materialize and live up to the hype of being the number 1 highest rated recruiting program history, that can shift Alabama's trajectory, their future, and everything to new heights. I mean, Keelan Russell, if he is able to turn it on, like a lot of people expect him to, like I expect him to, seeing him play football in Texas. Obviously, I'm from Texas, so I've seen him play football before he even got to Alabama, saw it in person. And when he's dialed in, when everything around him is suited to him and he knows what is going on and stuff like that, and he's able to go out and play football, he can beat you with his talent. He can beat you with his mind. And I definitely think that if Keelan Russell can pop off and live up to the hype this year, he can be more than a starter. He can be somebody that can be in a Heisman race. He can be a Heisman contender. It's that serious with number 12 in Crimson. So I'm thinking if Keelan Russell or Austin Mack, obviously they're going to be battling out this spring. But I'm thinking if either one of those arms is able to put it all together and rise above the rest, it can definitely change the trajectory of Alabama's season. So with that being said, my 5 players, like I said, it was Jeremiah Beeman, it was Zay Mincy, it was A.K. Deere, it was Austin Mack, and it was Keelan Russell. So if all 5 of those players, I mean, obviously it's going to be one of the quarterbacks, but if 4 of those players can really pop off and do what they need to do in 2026, that can help Alabama in a lot of ways, because a lot of all of those players had the opportunity to have those mental reps last year, whether it came through injury, whether it came through spot on the depth chart, whether it just came to not knowing the playbook. All of those players were able to see what it was like in the wins, see what it was like in the losses. So if they are able to play up to their potential, that's just going to make the 2026 version of Alabama football that better. So those are the 5 I'm banking on. Obviously, got to pick one of the quarterbacks. We'll see. But, I mean, hey, if both quarterbacks can turn up and do what they need to do, that just makes it even more scary. I mean, obviously, you don't want to have a QB platoon or nothing like that. But if all 5 players can, play to their potential, Alabama can definitely exceed whatever expectation the media has, whatever expectation I have, whatever expectation the fan base has. So, I mean, not putting it on those 5 players exactly, but obviously if they can be outliers and step up, it can definitely get dangerous around here in T-Town for sure.
Oh, for sure, man. Like, I can't wait to see what each of these guys can bring for 2026. I'm excited to see what they'll bring. I'm ready to see what Ackland Deer will bring some more for 2026. I want to see some more touchdowns from him. I mean, the
Yeah,
run game's going to get a lot better with him.
yeah, for sure. Because like I said, I mean, your running game is only as good as your offensive line. We saw that this past year, but AK Deer, I mean, if your offensive line is even if it's even comfortable, even suffice, if it's just good enough, AK Deer is the type of back that can bring your run game in it and make it times two at least. So, but you got to have the right blocking scheme in front of him. He's got to do his part, knowing the playbook, knowing where to be in pass protection, knowing how to hit the hole, because he has the one. He has. I think he might be the fastest running back on this roster. I don't know if it's him or EJ Carell. I mean, we'll definitely find out early in spring ball, looking at them both. But I definitely think that Eklund Deer, he is a player that can. He can make some things shake. Like, I liken him to kind of like a Shady McCoy. He's a little bit bigger than Shady McCoy and stuff like that. But he got that same burst. He got that same juice. So I'm excited to see AK Deer as well.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be fun seeing what happens from each of these guys for sure for 2026. And of course, we've got let's see, we've got the draft combine coming up this week. That's going to be a fun ride because we're going to be seeing a little bit of Ty Simpson. And here we've got a clip from NFL Network from Tom Pellizzaro. Let's hear it.
Well, Sherry, we always talk a lot about the quarterbacks in this setting. And while we will not see Fernando Mendoza throwing on the field, the presumptive number one pick has already said he's going to wait until his pro day. We will see the consensus QB2, Ty Simpson, out of Alabama. Who's on him are going to be? He was only a one-year starter. The numbers tailed off later in the season. He doesn't necessarily have the biggest frame, but consider some of the ancillary factors, even setting aside the protection issues that Alabama had, some of the drops by the wide receivers. He also was dealing with a severe case of gastritis toward the tail that potentially could be of interest, not just in the first round, but in the top half of the first round. A lot of the other top prospects also are going to work out here in Indianapolis, including Ohio State linebacker Sonny Styles. If there is one player in this setting, in these drills and the testing portions that is going to blow people away, I would say that it might be Styles. He is a big, rangy linebacker. He's going to weigh in the low 240s, and he is going to test really well if he backs up what he's been doing so far here in training. His teammate Arvell Reese, one of the top players in this.
Well, we got what we needed on Ty Simpson, and I will say, yeah, because it's like well, I know I've been guilty of saying that I think the Rams could go get Simpson because like you don't want to be waiting for when Stafford's going to retire. You want to make sure you've got a backup plan now instead of waiting till 2027 or 2028 of when Matthew Stafford makes that breaking news announcement of I'm retiring.
Yeah, it's kind of like, for example, the Green Bay Packers. The Green Bay Packers are a franchise that has done that, and they have done it well. Seeing that with Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers, seeing that with Aaron Rodgers and Jordan Love, and kind of drafting their replacement, a year or two before they move on to the next era of their football team. And I feel like Ty Simpson can definitely fit the mold in Los Angeles. Obviously, this week is going to be a big week for him. Hearing about the glutitis that he experienced later towards the end of the year. I was telling people back home, I was telling people who asked me what's been going on with Ty Simpson, why hasn't he looked like he has in the first half of the season, like he looked in the second half of the season. And I said, man, it's because he had to shoulder a bigger load than any quarterback in college football. I really believe that, not just like in Alabama how I do. I really believe that. I mean, not having a run game, having a offensive line that continued to rotate 7 or 8 bodies up front, and that took a toll on his body. All the hits that he took, I mean, yes, some of those hits are his fault, holding on to the football too long and stuff like that. But obviously, Ty Simpson had been dealing with a lot behind the scenes. I mean, we appreciate Ty Simpson. I feel like I've said it several times on this show because, that brutitis, losing almost 25, 30 pounds in the season. You know, you got some players that would sit out, and I mean, I don't blame them for sitting out. But Ty Simpson, he was able to just chug throughout the season and be there for his team till he collapsed his rib in the Rose Bowl and stuff like that. But this week going to be a big week for Ty Simpson. He's already said that he's going to throw at the NFL Combine. I think that's big. You know, only started 15 games in his career at Alabama, so you know he's going to want to show that he can throw the ball as much as he can. But from a meeting with the team standpoint, I'm not worried about it. I feel like Fernando Mendoza, he obviously is the number one rated quarterback for a reason, Heisman and stuff like that. But I feel like outside of Mendoza, no other quarterback is going to wow these NFL GMs, these NFL coaches like Ty Simpson can. I mean, I've had the pleasure to speak to Ty Simpson in the media at Alabama, inside the building and stuff like that, after games, after practice and stuff like that. And that kid, everything, he got everything you want upstairs in a quarterback. So you don't have to worry about him in the meeting process. He's a player that can break down film well. He's a player that has the right answers, similar to like Jalen Milroe last year. For whatever knock you want to put on Jalen Milroe, he was a player that knew how to address adversity. He was a player that knew how to speak to reporters, speak to media, speak to coaches and stuff like that. And when you sit down with a person and you talk to them, you know, that can buy you that. I mean, obviously it's what you do on the football field, but meetings and stuff like that can also play in your favor. I mean, we've seen in past years how prospects don't handle meetings well, and that ends up tanking their draft stock and stuff like that. But Ty Simpson, I think that's a part where he excels. So I'm definitely interested to see how Ty Simpson looks this week. I mean, the combine is going to start on Thursday. It's going all the way through March 2nd, and he's going to be throwing. I don't know if he's going to run that 40, but Ty Simpson, he's a competitive guy. So if he runs a 40, that wouldn't surprise me at all. I mean, but from everything that you want in a quarterback upstairs, Ty Simpson definitely got it. So I definitely think he is rightfully placed as QB2 in his NFL draft. And you look at some of the other Alabama prospects as well at the combine, who's going to be there. Alabama having 12 players at the combine. That's second most in college football, only to Texas A&M, who had 13. They had to get a program records to beat Alabama, but that's neither here nor there. But still the same.
You got Damani Jackson, you got Jam Miller, and you got Jada Roberts amongst the players for Alabama at the draft combine.
Yeah, and obviously Caden Proctor, who's also a player that can be taken in the first round as well. A lot of people trying to see what Caden Proctor should do at the NFL level. Should they keep him at tackle? Should he move inside the guard? Obviously, I feel like it was just at Alabama, you know, he played a little bit too high for my liking. I've pointed that out several times. He's got to get lower in his stance, but I mean, that's kind of hard for a dude being almost 6'7" and stuff like that. But if he can get lower in his stance and do some things like that, he has all the athleticism you need. We've seen him make athletic plays with the ball in his hands. We've seen him be able to be able to get in space at the second level and block and stuff like that. But for Caden Proctor, it's really just about him finding that right fit, finding that right home in the NFL. But I definitely think he can do so. Another player, Josh Cuevas. I feel like Josh Cuevas is one of the more slept-on tight ends in this draft. He won't wire you away with his speed. He won't wire you away with his athleticism. But he's a player that can move the chains. He's a player that can always that is always open. You throw the football to him, he's gonna catch the ball 99% of the time as long as it's a catchable target. So I'm definitely excited to see what Josh Cuevas can do in amongst a group of other tight ends. Also looking at players like LT Overton and Tim Keenan, two of Alabama's defenders. They probably won't go first round. Obviously, the only two first rounders I can see going out of this group is Caden Proctor, potentially just with his size, and a lot of teams falling in love with that. And Ty Simpson, being the number 2 quarterback on this NFL draft map, pretty much. But it's still a lot of value in these Alabama prospects. Like I said, Tim Keenan is a high character level player. He's a player that you know what you're going to get out of him every Saturday, but now it's going to be Sundays in the NFL. He's a player that you know what you're going to get out of him every week, week in and week out. LT Overton provides a different dynamic from a size standpoint, being over 6'3", having the bend that he does. He just got he reminds me like of Q Robinson last year. Q Robinson, he had a lot of traits that teams like, and despite the sack numbers not being what you would like in your traditional pass rusher, he was able to get drafted by the Denver Broncos, and he even had a sack in the AFC Championship game versus the Patriots. I remember that a couple weeks back. So I'm definitely thinking a player like LT Overton can definitely help provide a defensive coordinator that's looking for a rotational defensive lineman, somebody that you can put in on specific packages, somebody that can help you on special teams and stuff like that. Touched on Jam Miller. Obviously, Jam Miller, we saw the year before, felt like he was going to take off, injuries and stuff like that. But I feel like Jam Miller can carve out a role in the NFL as well, as a complementary back to a starter, maybe a third string back, something like that. He can definitely help you on special teams as a blocker, because Jam Miller, for whatever knock that people want to say about him, he's a tough dude. So he can help you on special teams. He can help you in pass protection when fully healthy. It's just about him being healthy. That's what I think it is. Damani Jackson, he's one of those players. It's going to be a lot of value at the cornerback position in this NFL draft. And I definitely think that Damani Jackson can be a value pick for a defensive coordinator in this NFL draft on day 2 in the second, the third, the fourth, whatever round you want to take him in. He's a player from California that plays with the chip on his shoulder. Obviously, the knock on him is, tackling and stuff like that. But from a coverage standpoint, I definitely think he's one of the better covering cornerbacks in this NFL draft. So he's just going to have to show teams that he is willing to tackle and come downfield. But I definitely like the way Damani Jackson plays. I definitely like the swagger that he plays with. And I think that at the next level, he can be a gem from a defensive coordinator, maybe a team that is contending that needs a young cornerback and stuff like that. Not saying he can start from day one out the gate, but he's a player that can definitely help a defense, from a depth standpoint, special teams and stuff like that. And I'm trying to see who else I missed. We said 12 guys. I don't feel like I went over every guy, but still the same. Alabama has a lot of value in this NFL draft. I just did an article on Bama Hammer today talking about Alabama having a streak of 17 consecutive years of having a first-round draft pick. And, this year it could be at stake. I mean, I don't think it will be with Ty Simpson being slated as the number 2 quarterback. I don't think Fernando Mendoza will be the only quarterback taken in the first round. So I definitely think that's where Ty Simpson's services will be called upon. I definitely think Caden Proctor can help a contending team as well that needs a tackle or guard. He can fit both molds, and it's just getting him with the right offensive line coach and getting him in the right system and stuff like that. Thinking about maybe a team like Detroit Lions can definitely use his services. Maybe Minnesota Vikings, a team like that. Who knows? But like I said, I did a story on Bama Hammer today, talking about how Alabama's streak might be in jeopardy. But I think with those 2 players, they can keep the streak alive. Obviously, a big part of that is going to hinge on their performances this week in Indianapolis. But we're wishing all the Alabama prospects luck this week, as they continue to chase their dreams at the pro level. I definitely think that each Alabama player there in Indy this week can translate their games to Sundays, and, whether it's on special teams, whether it's complementary pieces, whether it's depth pieces, whether it's being thrown in the fire as a day 1 starter. I definitely think that their experiences at Alabama, that, playing ball in the hardest conference in college football, I definitely think that their games can translate and they can do their things on Sunday. So just wishing them all the best.
There we go. And, it's going to be a wild ride seeing what happens in the draft combine. I've got a good feeling that things will go all right, but we will definitely wait to see as we keep an eye on it for the next week. But, if there's any breaking news, we will definitely be making sure to bring it to you all right here on Alabama, the Voice of College Football. Tune in for more. And Godfather SEC coming in the chat saying that he's back, and he was talking with Bill from New York as there's 2 feet of snow in the state of New York. Good grief.
Oh boy,
Man.
First off,
What's up?
I hate the cold, me personally. I mean, I went to school. I mean, when I went to school, when I was in a junior college, I went to this school called Butler Community College. Some people might know it, some people might not, but it was in El Dorado, Kansas. And I hate the snow, all because of that. I mean, I'm a Texas dude. It don't really snow a lot in Texas, but I got my taste of snow being in the Midwest in Kansas. So y'all, they're up in New York. To your friend Bill, man, stay warm, man, because this 30 degrees going on right now in Alabama, man, I hate it. I mean, see, like I said, I'm used to sun or at least 60 degrees, so I hate the cold, me personally. So but that's why if you cold, you got to tap in what we got on the merch site at the Voice of College Football. We got everything you need from sweatshirts to polo tees to can cup coolers, mugs, and stuff like that. We definitely can keep you warm during these cold times. Like I said, there goes a sweatshirt right there. If you're in the warmer part of the world, spring break coming up, we got the polo tee right there. We got the regular Gildan tee with the college football logo, Voice of College Football logo right there. So anything you're looking for from a merch standpoint, we definitely would appreciate you if you tap in to see what we got. We definitely got things for all months and seasons of the year. And, it helps us make a buck, and it helps keep you warm. It helps get you, you can be fashionably representing us, and we definitely appreciate that. So thank you in advance. But I just thought I had to throw that out there since we were talking about the weather. So, yeah.
There we go, man. And it's always good to be prepared. Like I know that I'll be like making sure, like, one of the things on my bucket list is to make sure I've got like a storm shelter for tornadoes, hurricanes, snowstorms, all of it. Anything the worst. Just making sure I'm just like prepared for everything. Because like snowstorms may not be coming to Bama, but it's always good to be prepared all the same.
Yeah, speaking about being prepared, I mean, not that it really mattered to me, but our last topic of the night, I was kind of caught off guard, wasn't prepared when I saw Coach Chris Kapovich officially join Auburn on Friday as one of their forgot what particular role he was in. Can you pull up the post for the people?
Oh, yeah. He's going to Auburn, taking that same position.
No, is he the offensive line coach? I thought he was.
He's an offensive assistant at Auburn.
Yeah, offensive assistant. I mean, yeah, seeing that and stuff like that. I mean, obviously you play Auburn once a year, so I mean it won't really affect them. But still the same. I mean, I guess it's hard for me to wish somebody the best when you go join the enemy and stuff like that. But I mean, you got to keep a job on your plate. You got to feed your family. Right. So I really have no particular comment on that move because, like I said, the only time I can really comment on it is just seeing maybe his influence on the Auburn offense since he is an offensive assistant, and obviously when the iron ball rolls in, you might want to be skeptical because he was the offensive line coach, so he might know some tendencies of how the offense may operate, even though. Yeah, he might know some tendencies, just being under Coach Grove for that one season. But, that's just something we thought we should bring up just to monitor and stuff like that. Wonder what the chat thinks about this move. I mean, if you have any particular comments at this moment, you can definitely voice your opinion in the comments. We would definitely appreciate it. We can definitely read them. We can definitely give you some feedback on what we think about it. But
I think it's funny.
Yeah, I think it's funny too. I mean, I don't know if it's a good funny. I don't think it's a bad funny, but I don't know if it's a good funny. But I just definitely think it's funny. I'm just like, that kind of caught me off guard seeing that on Friday. But that's just definitely something to monitor.
It's going to be a wild ride. I know I am just laughing about Coach Cap going to Auburn because it's going to be.
Yeah, it definitely makes the Rose Bowl. You're always looking for added incentives, added storylines and stuff like that. But that'll be another storyline that they'll be talking about at the Rose Bowl. However many days from now on. When is it? November the 28th, I believe.
November 28th. And
yeah. So that's definitely something they'll be talking about. But we're not worried about it. But yeah, just something to monitor. You monitor stuff like that. You see stuff. You're like, okay, all right. But yeah, that's my thought on it.
Oh man, it was so funny. But it'll be interesting to see what happens. But just getting a quick laugh to end the show for sure. And before we get out of here tonight, what magic have you got cooking on Bama Hammer, man?
Man, a lot of magic, man. I'm just thinking about this week with the combine, thinking about what particular players need a good combine. Obviously, you want all Alabama players to have a good combine, but thinking about just what the performances will be like. I'll be writing about those performances and stuff like that. Any type of rumors they have with what player could go where. Focusing on stuff like that. Obviously, with spring ball coming up too, I'm looking at different storylines, trying to flip this Alabama football roster inside and out, looking at different angles that other writers haven't looked at. So, if you want to keep up with me and see what I got going on at Bama Hammer, you can definitely check me out on X at T1K. My stories are always accessible. They're all down my page. I post a story at least every day. I mean, the last couple of days I kind of had a hard time because we in the dead part of the off season, so it's kind of hard. But that's where the creativity stands out. That's where you make your name and stuff. Trying to be creative and stuff, and that's really what I've been trying to do. So that's really been my challenge to myself. So if you want to check out what I got going on, you can check me out. Like I said, on X at T1K. Links in my bio. Stories are very accessible. Definitely appreciate anybody that does that. Also, throw me a follow if you can. I mean, if not, if you want to just read what I got going on, you want to just creep in the background, the shadows, I ain't tripping. My page is open, But I'm going to definitely continue to keep providing this content. I mean, it's kind of how I'm trying to push myself as I go into my third year right now, covering my third spring ball, covering my third fall camp and stuff like that, trying to, continue building my digital footprint. So I definitely appreciate anybody that wants to support and wants to tap into what I got going on. And thank you in advance. So yeah.
There you go. And I mean, tell your friends, your family, and the cashiers at Publix about the magic that Trevion has cooking all right there on T1K on @/Twitter. And you can also check him out right here on Alabama with the Voice of College Football and also on Bama Hammer at Fansided, where he's got that magic all right there. And also, you can check me out at Jackson Johnson 979, where I'm one episode away from episode 100. The Jackson, who's going to be in that 100th episode, that's where you'll find out. But up next, I'll be joined by Garrison Gaddy of Ohio State Primetime Live, where we'll be discussing the future of the Alabama-Ohio State series. And is it affected by the SEC going to 9 games? Is it affected by what could be happening with the playoff field? That's why you tune in on SEC at the Voice of College Football. And for more updates, what I've got going on Alabama with the Voice of College Football, SEC, and the Jacksonian, check me out on JatsBOCFB on @/Twitter and on Instagram page, JatsShots543908, where I also give a shout out to some of my bi-weekly appearances on Locked On West Virginia with Mountaineer Paul as he discusses the Mountaineers. All right there. And with that being said, like, comment, subscribe, click on the notification bell so you never miss another video or episode whatsoever.
Oh yeah, Jackson. Also, we also want to shout out our streaming platform partners. If you're looking to listen to us in the car, if you're looking to listen to us at the gym, if you're looking to listen to us at home, you definitely can do so on Spotify. You can do so on Apple Podcasts. You can do so on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, X. Obviously, YouTube, what we on right now. We definitely appreciate all our streaming partners. So anywhere you get your streams, streams from, you definitely can type in the Voice of College Football Alabama channel. We won't be hard to find. We definitely appreciate that in advance. And like I said, we appreciate our partners up top on the right-hand corner, FanDuel. Definitely appreciate them. They help us power the show. They help us get this news coming to you as quick and possible as we do. So we definitely appreciate all our partners in general. Just thought I threw that out there. Plus, they help us make a little ching when we do that. So I got to do that. So, yeah. Got to do that.
There you go. Oh man! Note to self: I got to add a money sound effect to the sound effect board, so I'll make sure of that. But of course, but also you could check out our other co-star, Jeffrey at Only Talk Sports. He was not here tonight. He was at a work shift tonight, but luckily he should be back. He's definitely back Thursday night, and he's definitely back with us next Monday night, of course. But I can tell you right now, he's got some magic cooking on Only Talk Sports, where he talks sports every single day, or at least tries to. And you can also check him out with us, all right here on Alabama with the Voice of College Football. And with that being said, like, comment, subscribe, click on the notification bell so you never miss another video episode whatsoever here on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon, and iHeartRadio, or X. And we will be seeing y'all tomorrow night, 6 p.m. Central Time. And roll Tide.
Good night, everybody. Oh, shit.